Hi there folks, I wanted to give you a run through of calculating this wild shape using trigonometry. Now to give you an idea what's happening here is we would have a tripod with a total station, and what you do is you'd use trigonometry to actually calculate the angle and the hypotenuses to lay out all the different shapes. Now this is a simplified shape because technically there would be a line there, and there as well. But for the sake of making this easy and a little bit more spacious for us, it's just set up this way. So when you're doing this, every angle is going to be laid off with a baseline. So imagine the baseline is like that. Now, if we're pivoting for angle 1, that's up like that. So all you need to do is look at that as that triangle. Ignore the fact that this is square over here, right? So if we look at this, we have a length of 26 foot 3 and 5/8. That's up to there, right? From there to there. And we have a height of 7 foot 9. So we have to convert these numbers. Now, I'm just giving you one example. We're just going to do angle 1 and hypotenuse A here for now. But you should convert all of these numbers into decimal feet. So for example, 27.5 feet, right? Okay. So pulling out my calculator here, I'm going to convert this. So 5 divided by 8, okay, 0.625 plus 3, so 3.625. And then we're going to divide that by 12 to get that into feet. And so we have 26.302 feet. 7 foot 9, nice and easy. 9 divided by 12, 7.75. And again, we're looking at this triangle, right? We're simplifying. We're looking at just this because what we want to do is calculate that angle. Now, we were talking about SOHCAHTOA. We were saying put yourself in the perspective of the angle, right? So you're standing here, you're looking this way. So which side is opposite of you? Well, this side is opposite of us, and this side is adjacent to us, right? Now remember, so we're not using the 34 foot 5, we're using the 26 foot 3 here because that's going up just to this point, okay? So this is our perspective in that direction. So let's move this over. And our formula for calculating an angle is tan of our angle is equal to opposite over adjacent. That's how we knew it was tan. Sine would be opposite over hypotenuse, and cosine would be adjacent over hypotenuse. So because we're using the opposite side and the adjacent side, that's how we knew it was tan. So tan of our angle is equal to 7.75 over 26.302. Both are in feet. Okay, so the way that I do this with my calculator is I leave everything in the calculator. So 7.75 divided by 26.302. Okay, now you have this decimal number. That is not the angle. What we have to do is take the tan across the equal sign, and when we do, we have just our angle left over, and the tan becomes the inverse tan, the second function tan, okay? And that's 0.29464, blah, 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 forever, okay? So because this answer is here in our calculator, all we have to do is hit second function. You can see the tan turns into that tan with a little -1 here. Click on that, and you can see that our angle is equal to 16.42 degrees, okay? So that's angle 1, okay? Now for our hypotenuse, fortunately we already have our A side and our B side to calculate A squared, B squared, C squared. Okay, so let's clear everything here. 26.302 and 7.75 feet. Let's redraw that triangle real quick. Okay, so we know that if we use A squared plus B squared equals C squared, that will give us our hypotenuse. So 7.75 squared plus 26.302 squared equals C squared. Okay, 7.75 squared plus 26.302 squared equals, so that's both of them added together, and then we hit square root here, 27.42. C equals 27.42 feet. Now that makes sense because it should be bigger than 26, so that's a good sign. And it's not a very steep angle, so it shouldn't be much bigger than 26. So that's probably dead on here. All right, that's how you can kind of double check yourself. So what we have to do is take the 0.42 and convert that back into inches and fractions. Okay, so one way to do that is just to go get rid of the 27. And there's that whole decimal that you have there. So you can take that number and then times it by 12. Okay, so we have 27 foot 5 inches, and then we can go minus 5. And then now we want to be as accurate as a 16th, so times 16 equals 0.6 of a 16th. So if we're rounding this properly, we should round up, and that because 27 foot 5 and 1/16 for A. Okay, so for the rest of this little project here, guys, we'll clear that, get rid of the calculator. What you want to do again is make sure you're going everything off the baseline. So for the next triangle, it would look like that. For the triangle after that, it would look like this, right? Just trying to make it just slightly off. And then for the next triangle, it would look like this, right? Something like that. And so you can calculate them all in that direction. Now, angle 4, if you look at angle 4, it's quite steep. So it's going to be, I don't know, somewhere in the 70-degree range. It's quite steep because it's going off this baseline all the way up here. You can see it's almost 90 degrees, right? So it's going to be, I don't know, 70 or 80, somewhere in that range. Okay? So I hope that you guys find this helpful. Let's practice this. It's good trigonometry practice, okay? Take care.